Welcome back, everyone. Hope you all had a good week, refreshed yourself, and came back for more. Just to recap, we are discussing autism and relating it to My Little Pony Friendship as Magic characters in various chapters. If you missed the premiere kicked off on World Autism Awareness Day and all other chapters in the series so far, you can find those in this video's description. Also, we are going to be switching things up a bit. I realized before that most of my points were right, but they were introduced in a sloppy manner. So that's why I'm switching this intro up for the remainder of the series, having my mom help me certain steps of the way. So if it feels almost like the series comes off as different, that's why. Here goes. Now on to a gym named Rarity. Rarity is a pony who appears to deal with OCD, a disorder I'm going to skip describing. Oh, but it's so hard not to. Alright, I'll explain. But I shouldn't. I won't. Wait, am I dealing with OCD right now? Yes, I am one who deals with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, on a daily basis as a side of french fries to my Asperger's. Okay, enough of the slapsticks. Though I am getting better, I have to wrestle with it on a daily basis and sometimes I'm defeated. In other words, I give in to such things. And let me tell y'all something, in the case of the level of OCD I have to deal with, it always feels easier to be defeated than win. But I've got to train my mind to not give in and instead walk away from such thoughts trying to take control. One of Rarity's main attributes being OCD is striving for perfection, whether it has to do with fashion or preparations for some party or social gathering or get-together. You get the idea. She is also very particular about what she gets in her hooves, hair, or otherwise. I am not writing my autobiography and having it intertwined with MLP, okay? That is not what this is. However, I feel that paranoia constantly relapse, and think that works hand in hand with OCD, which may be why Rarity feels it too, and often she makes herself overwork. This type of effort usually leads to stress, and Rarity is one who frequently deals with this, but not the same way Starlight does. Rarity possesses more of a time crunch, get her done when they say to get her done, while also doing everything to the last perfect detail sort of stress. And I've had moments like that. Definitely.
I dare Applejack to do something carefully and neatly for a change.
Oh, yeah? Well, I dare Rarity to lighten up and stop obsessing over every last little detail for a change.
I think the truth of the matter is that some pony could stand to pay a little more attention to detail.
Let's explore further with OCD and see how autism may fit into the puzzle. There are two types of perfections, maladaptive and adaptive. With adaptive, you may be looking to excel or get better at areas that actually benefit your life, and is a more healthy trait of perfection. And a few examples include staying with the struggle, something I've covered before, milestones, and best effort. Whereas maladaptive can fall into the categories of anxiety, little confidence, and mental illness signs. The latter trait parallels OCD, and to tell you the truth, I deal with both of these, but my maladaptive attributes probably outweigh my adaptive. I am constantly fixated on checking and putting all my willpower and energy on that. The root of my information is verywellmind.com, and I've realized that this constant checking only further feeds a flame burning me, and that my self-esteem lowers when I give in to such thoughts. But one day, I'll take control again. I know I will. According to SpectrumNews.org, research has shown that 84% of autistic people get diagnosed with some form of anxiety, and 17% specifically of OCD. Beyond that, a more substantial percent of OCD people are undiagnosed autistic individuals. But besides the numbers and obvious facts, what are the clues and little details that prove this true? Those diagnosed either may respond differently than others when it comes to sensory overload, and also, those who suffer from OCD seem to be similar to an autistic individual's repetitive attributes or habits. In spite of all this, there are some differences between OCD and autism, including the fact that obsessive behavior can lead to uncontrollable behavior, in contrast to autism. Difference number 2, according to Roma Veza, Director of Psychiatric Services at the Kennedy Krieger Institute in Baltimore, Maryland, they have a need to do things a certain way, otherwise they feel very anxious and uncomfortable. Quick irrelevant edit. I should mention that, unfortunately, the Kennedy Krieger Institute is another organization that has ties with Autism Speaks, an organization with twisted methods for dealing with ASD individuals. And they were given a grant by Autism Speaks that enabled them to meet certain needs for autistic people in their care. The upside is in spite of the two organizations' affiliations with each other, and I am uncertain about whether they are anymore or not. I did some reading and research on ASD from the Kennedy Kragers Institute website, and their points on the disorder seem to be pretty legit, including things like kids typically getting diagnosed at a young age, being verbally disabled, and the repetitive habits and personal interests they possess. Now, returning to this quote about OCD-diagnosed people from Roma Veza, they have a need to do things a certain way, otherwise they feel very anxious and uncomfortable. Specifically, the various repetitive attributes displayed in many autistic individuals seems to contrast this quote. This is not to say that autistic people cannot and are not also diagnosed as OCD, but despite the two conditions both being present, they tend to not link with each other. This is brought forth further by Professor of Psychiatry at Columbia University, Jeremy Venstra Vanderweel, and quote, "They're just looking for anything that's soothing. They're not looking for a particular behavior." I lastly can say, based on the parallels and distinctions that we covered, that I am not entirely sure whether Rarity is an autistic individual. She may deal with maladaptation like myself, yet we go our different ways about it. She's OCD in terms of attention to detail, while I am someone who constantly gets anxiety from the constant checking above. Well, we covered a lot of ground this chapter, and this week. My goal for the series is to have autistic people and Neros come together and take something away from this. Tell me which part stood out to you the most, and which parts you agree with or had some contradiction towards by commenting me below. Again, thanks for listening, and I hope you return for more this coming Friday.